it on the dashboard, if I can get a thumbs up or a head nod and all that good stuff. Okay, awesome. Thank you. And I like the thumbs up, guys. All right, let me do the screen share. Ba-dum-bum-bum. And I do have to admit, sometimes I get a little mixed up when I'm screen sharing. Can you all see my screen? It should be the Zoom. Okay, perfect. All right. So today we are going to cover signing on to the dashboard, and not necessarily tips and tricks, but I just want to highlight some features and things like that. And then I want to show you, as you are moving forward, what the tracking can do. And then I'm going to also share with you some of the comments we've gotten from some people about how to improve it. And that's what this is always all about. Send us your comments and how we can improve this, because this is designed for you. So the first thing you can do is, when you go to our website and you click on register and you go to a new user, then you have Sally. And I actually, this virtual conference that I'm on, I just finished some AI stuff, and they were talking about dog therapy and trying to animate your dogs. And I was like, oh my God, we're so ahead of the curve, you guys. So I've had, of course, had to talk about Sally. So anyway, you come to your welcome screen, and it's basically 5 steps to set up your dashboard. And this is a preview of what you end up getting, but we'll walk through the whole thing. So you click on Start, and Sally asks you a few questions, and I'm going to act as if I am an actual TBI person. And you can be a current patient, or you can have somebody who has a TBI or multiple TBIs, but not necessarily seen a doctor, but are experiencing symptoms. You could be a caregiver. And one of the things, if we have caregivers come on board, we want to make sure, and we're building a specific track for caregivers, that the caregiver answers as an observation of the person. So this is the refinement that we will do for that next release, but this is just as a heads up for everybody else. If you are an other, what you do here is you can type in the kind of other patient you are, and we have stroke survivors coming on board. I do have physicians who are coming on board to look at this as well too, and I also have, in addition to the caregivers, now we're starting to get some Parkinson's disease people. So there's so much overlap between the symptomology. So the ideal scenario is to tell me what you have, and then we can build specific panels to that. So this will take a little bit longer than somebody who would do it on their own, so I can explain concepts. So right now I'm a female and I am Lynn Becker. There's my mobile phone number, which is optional, but at one point we are going to give you the option to have a reminder from your phone versus your email. I can't use this email because it's already taken, so I'm going to use my other email. lynn.e.becker@gmail.com. I think I did that right. And date of birth. So we have it so that it is children protected, meaning unless you're over 13, you cannot create an account. And one of the things we are working on as well is to bring in privacy releases so that a parent can sign up for them. And the zip code is important simply because if you decide that you want to become involved with the clinical trial, one of the things, since I come from that world, one of the things that a trial would like to know is where are the people located, because they have to go and activate a site in that region. So that's one of the reasons why we collect that. So in the password, I did that right. And I agree to the terms, and this is private. It is with the California, the EU privacy laws. It is HIPAA protected. Everything is there. I'm going to have to confirm my email. So after I do that, I'll just save this right now. I got to go and check in on my email account so I can verify that. And if anybody has any questions, please let me know. And here's my verify my email. And I simply click on this. And that's it. I verified my email, so now all I have to do is continue. So it takes me exactly where I left off. So what Sally wants to know first, she wants to know about your most recent TBI. And you can simply do a date picker, or you can scroll up and down, or you can type something in. So I'm just going to say this was the date. Now, this is important because the more that we get regarding the details of your traumatic brain injury or your stroke or whatever, the more we can actually pre-populate the next page that you're about to see. So in this example, I'm going to pretend that I was my oldest daughter, and I'm going to say that I was in crosswalk, oops, and a car hit me. I rolled up and over the car. Oops. You can tell that I type a lot, and I think I'm beating up my keyboard. Now, in this case, my daughter has had 6, mostly from sports, and the last 2 were car accidents. So again, this is very, very important, and the more information we can get there, the better. So for our purposes, I'm being very short and sweet and to the point. Here is your progress bar. So as you keep moving forward, it tells you how much you have left to do or how much you've actually accomplished. So in this case, we had an accident. If you want to type in other, this is something, so I'm going to say I was hit in the front of the head and the back of the head, but I'm going to add also shoulder. Right? And so then the next time somebody comes in, these are buildable other categories so that other people are like, oh, wait, yeah, I also got hit in my shoulder too. Even though this is about our heads, it doesn't matter, because the more information we get, the better we can create patterns for you. And in this case, she was very disoriented. She had no speech, confusion, let's see, what else did she have? She had no balance. And I hit that, we save and continue. Now, these are what we're looking for currently what kind of symptoms you're having. So that was at the time of your injury what occurred. So we break these up into cognitive, we break them up into sleep, emotional, and this is where, when I said the more you give us on that intake parameter, that very first paragraph that we ask for info, we're going to pre-populate all of these panels. So all you do is just say yes or no and then still add to it. But that's our goal with the AI. What she has right now is often she has short and long-term memory loss. She has some brain fog. She has a little bit of shaking. She has severe GI issues, and it isn't necessarily constipation. She has severe digestion along with a gagging, so I'll just leave it at that. So now we know other people could potentially see this. She gets very anxious and she gets very nervous with certain things. She has this, she definitely has this, and we will save and continue. Now, one of the things we discovered, even though in Alex's case or my case here, I have all these symptoms that are going on, we discovered that people are better suited to track 3 at one time right now. And then as they become more familiar and comfortable with the tracking, they can then add more. And we actually have had people asking us, can I start adding now? So that's a really good sign. People are getting this very, very quickly. So almost the last thing that we do next is we ask for social determinants of health. And so here's a link to the CDC to explain it more. But basically, a social determinant of health is a trigger, something that is non-medical, outside the office of the doctor or the clinician, whomever you are seeing. And it actually causes your symptoms to worsen. And so what we're trying to do is, you may not think of any right now, but as Kelly was sharing with us, the barometric pressure really makes her head go crazy. Bright sun, I also know, this with Alex as well too. Alex can't get in any kind of transportation whatsoever because her peripheral vision has collapsed. And so until we can get that stable, motion sends her off into the dark room. She doesn't have too many of these, you know, but on the same time, if she's highly stressed, she'll have a flare up. I'm going to say in this case, let's see, let's go with poor diet. I'll just add that in just so we have it. Now we're going to start also bringing those social determinants of health that you track every day. We're going to be bringing that onto the dashboard very quickly so you can see those as well. So this is where you get to have Sally come and get you every day, whatever day that you want to come and get you. I'm going to have Sally come and get me at, let's say 4 o'clock. And here's your time of the zone, we know wherever you are in the country. We have to add international because we've got international people. And another thing to add is that we've been asked to add more multiple times so that people can track throughout the day. And that's it. That's as simple as it is. When you go to your dashboard, you get this every single day. Sally comes and gets you in an email. And we basically want to have an overview. I want to move this so it's not in your way. We basically ask first, how are you feeling right now? So it's just an overview. And right now, I'm going to say I'm bad today, right? And this is the start day of when I'm tracking, but I'm going to be able to go back in time, even though this is my first day. I don't really have any nausea, and I have nothing to compare it against yet. I have a little bit of anxiety just because I did not sleep well, which I'll log that in a second. And I'm definitely having some memory issues. So as you can see here, it's no pain or none, all the way up to the absolute worst. So because I'm doing a lot, I'm having a lot of that trouble today. The next thing we ask for is these triggers. What could have been causing it? Now you may say none, or you may say, I don't know, you know, type that in. In this case, I'll just simply say, I've had a lot of computer time and I have had a lot of stress. And we'll leave it at that. I hit save. Here's the suggestion box, which I'm going to get to in a second. And if you can see here, I'm going to flip to another screen where I have been tracking so you can get a larger view. So as you're tracking, you can see that you get these timelines. And so if I'm going along and I have this huge spike on Tuesday, or here, why did my numbers go down? Which I'm going to show you that in a second. It's because I was practicing my exercises. So on this day, I didn't have much of a problem, but over here, I had a lot of sleep. So it's going, in this case, I'm going backwards. You know, I had a lot of sleep. I had a physical therapy appointment, and not sure everyone is bothering me for this event. So I'm going to show you again, like I said, where that comes in. But also, if you click on these little dots, we can go into the 30-day look. And we add them in one at a time. That way people don't get overwhelmed if you see way too many graphs. And this was the other reason why when people had like 10 symptoms in our beta that they were testing, they were like, I can't do it. You got to tone it down for me. So you can see here I skipped, right? So I'm going to go back and add it in. And you can also just do bar charts. And again, they come in one at a time. It's choosing the green because I clicked on the green button. So whichever one you choose first is how it comes in. So this is where I know, you know, some people want to have this chart printed or at least be able to be sent to their doctor, which again, that we have to get that approval. So we're working on that as well. So just heads up on that. So just to show you what I'm talking about, I'm going to do an extreme tracking on September 20, but you can't track on the same day. So if I go to September, oh, hello, Susan Pelletier. I was talking about your son. So if you go here and just because I want to show you what happens if I go here and it's very low, right? Let's look at repeating oneself. Repeating oneself is purple. And so I had a really low score on that day in the 20s, right? So in this case, I'm going to say I had a really bad, like we've noticed a 10% increase. We force you to tell us what the heck happened. You were doing so well. And if you go above 30%, the same thing, we have to have you tell us what happened. But in this case, we send you to a doctor. We don't say you must go to the doctor, you can't use this anymore, but it's our recommendation. You're having a severe increase. So again, these hyperlinks, and in the interest of time, but you can click on them and go there. So in this case, this is what I was telling you in the chart. Okay, why am I repeating myself? I'm repeating myself because I'm highly stressed. And again, the more information you put in here, this is where the AI algorithms will help us decipher what we can recommend based upon other information coming in. In the loss of balance, I'll say that I had a pretty good day, for that one. But my short-term memory loss, I'm going to go, that one was bad already. I guess I'll just leave that one there. And with this one, I'll say I had large crowds. I was in a car a lot that day. Something that I'm thinking about is also doing an alternative to that panel, where on the triggers, I also have a good trigger day versus bad trigger day. And so I don't want to be overwhelming people on the dashboard, but I want to make sure that we identify if it's a good trigger versus a bad trigger. So any feedback on that, I definitely would like people to let me know. Here's a little quick view of what you're looking at on your short, if you were looking at this on your phone. And then going to the suggestion box, all you do is put in your email and you put your name and what is it that you want me to help you with or how to improve. And then the other thing I'd like to show you is this is where we post all of our previous videos and things like that. So there was our TBI and PCS, there's our clinical trials. This one we did the vagus nerve, and right when COVID started, 3 important questions to ask. So I did forget to record some of them, to tell you the truth. So I don't have everything up there. And then our help button. So kind of same thing there. You can get to your help button or to the suggestion box, either way. And that's it. It is just that simple. Now, at the bottom here, before this suggestion box, this is where we're working on some visualizations for your triggers, because the more you're able to see what is causing you to have a trigger, then the more you're going to be able to manage it yourself as well. So reduce that trigger. So in Kelly's case, Kelly said it's the storm. So what is it that we can do to reduce the barometric pressure for the storm? I know in my daughter's case, she has to drink really, really high pH water, and the CoQ10 and the B2 and the omega-3s. So it's, I hate to say that it's a trial by error, but right now, until we can build out these symptoms and the characterizations, this is how we can get along in terms of improving people's health and care.
So, Lynn, at what point are we going to be able to access, like, the high pH water I've never heard of?
Yeah.
At what point do you think we might be able to say barometric pressure, these are things that people have suggested?
You mean in the AI?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually ran some tests on that already, and we actually were 87% accurate, which is really encouraging. So the more people we get in there giving us this data, the more we build it out. One of the things that I think would be really great, and I'll share, and Trip, I'll let you go ahead and chit-chat, is that, as you all know, in Natalie's case, it was a doozy, right? Susie, everybody, this is Susie, my friend. And her poor husband, is getting, the craziest, worst possible care. So unfortunately, it's a matter of us circling our wagons and sharing this at this point. But the more we're able to say, oh, you look exactly like this person over here, but right now we can't, because nobody has the same kind of brain injury, right? But if we know that people who were hit on this side of their head, or cracked it open, or the severity of it, I want to bring in what kind of therapies people were seeing or are doing, because I think that's going to be the next layer that we bring in. So we got to get a lot of people in. So the more everybody can say, I'm in. I mean, it's never going to cost anybody anything. It's only going to help, you know?
Yeah.
Trip, you're on mute.
Unmute. Something was mentioned earlier about a smartphone app. Is there one for the iPhone, or is it Android only, or how do I find it on the iPhone?
So we don't have an app per se. This is web accessible. So one of the things that I would recommend doing is setting it up on the computer. And you saw it literally takes like 2 minutes to set up. I just took a lot longer to describe it. But I do know that if you get your emails on your phone, you click on time to track, because I test it all the time. I click on time to track, and then it just pops up on my phone.
Okay.
So every once in a while, like about 2 weeks ago, there was an iPhone update, and we don't get notices when there's updates. What happens is something breaks, and then I get an email from people going, oh, I can't access my charts. I'm like, that's weird. Okay, Apple, what'd you do now?
Yeah.
But if that happens, just let us know as soon as possible.
Okay.
But yeah, Kelly, you do yours on the phone, right?
I do mine from my tablet, but
Okay.
I'm Android, I'm Google, so
Yep.
I don't usually have a problem.
Well, Brian is Apple, Susie, and so he's on it, and so he tracks every day too. And so, you know, and he gave me, so that's the whole point, and you're right, Kelly, like when do we know what to start using, right? That's when we're diving into therapeutics. And so one of the things I didn't want to do, but, you know, if it becomes really a big need, then we have to consider it. If you have a closed environment, and I don't want to do anything on Facebook simply because it's not private, right? And this needs to be private, because it's all about patients deciding what they want to do with their data and who gets to see it. Now, the doctors were like, holy cow, when can I have access? I want to give my patients homework, because, and to this one doctor's point, she's a speech pathologist, and she had said, they think that they nailed it, right? But I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, you were so far off. So it's the impression. And I can speak from absolute experience. Natalie would either not know the answer or think she was a rock star. And I'd sit there and I'd go, like, what world were you in? Like, I don't think so. You know? And it really is so different. So when you say something like that, the doctor's like, well, Natalie, tell me a little bit more. And she literally couldn't remember. So until she could even get that short-term memory firing again, it was honestly a joke. And so having this as the app with your memory issues, oh my gosh, it's a lifesaver. So otherwise you're carrying binders around, you know, but the focus is in talking to these doctors is we create a multidisciplinary approach without having to fight with the hospital settings and the clinic settings and all of them, because we all know how difficult it is to even get your records, you know. So, but yeah. Any other questions, Susie? What you got?
Is this something that that you are considering, like working, I know with, I guess, HIPAA and everything else with privacy issues, but working with doctors to have them be able to recommend patients to use this, and have them kind of push this out to get even more people on there?
Yeah.
Is that something that you're wanting to get done or do?
Yeah, I do, and we're actually designing some brochures so that, you know, the doctors could give them to their patients. And if we have to print them and mail them, I don't know who's going to the offices, if they are going inpatient, but yeah, absolutely. We do want the doctors, and that's kind of why I started demonstrating. This doctor in California found us, and she said, I do virtual vision therapy. And oh, there's my little cutie pie. Hi, Gabby. She does vision therapy remotely. And so the next 3 months, the next 3 webinars are about visual therapy with the doctors. And so we're actually going to do virtual exams and virtual tests. And Brian said he would do, the intake for me and stuff like that. We were going to have Alex do it because she's in visual therapy now. And her therapy, again, even though these two doctors on the East Coast and West Coast, they're different, his is even more different up in New York. He's doing, it's called photomodulation, where it's the light rays. But Alex's anxiety is settling down, and what they're seeing is if you have photomodulation before you do your ocular rehab, it accelerates the speed of your rehab. So you're not like Natalie, a year plus of ocular rehab, and we couldn't figure out how to do the photomodulation. She was just, I guess, too green at it. The doctor, she didn't know how to balance it. So, 4 years later, it's a little bit better now. And so Alex is in the midst of it, and she leaves feeling very, very centered. And that's a good thing, because otherwise, in Natalie's case, she was vomiting during the exams or during the therapies, right? And this is the whole problem. Here we go again. How can we suggest what therapies until we get these numbers and what people are doing? So I guess that's, maybe by a show of hands, what would be good? Would it be good for you guys to start tracking the kind of therapy you have done or are doing? Or is it more important to know, because we're doing the webinars based upon the kinds of therapy available. But what helps you more? Does it help you if you are doing 3 times a week at physical therapy? Does that help you to track? I mean, I don't know.
I think it would definitely help a person track. I can't speak from experience because I've got to figure out how to get somebody with a brain injury to actually acknowledge or go get help with any issues. But I think if they were going, I think that would definitely help the person identify, or a caregiver identify what is, how to track how they're progressing and what's going on with them that day, because it makes them stop and, give you a chance to track it.
Okay.
I think it would be a good way. It'd be good if we could still track the symptoms, like Susie was saying, but then somehow be able to mark if it was a therapy day and what type of therapy.
Oh.
I'm 11 years out. I've done every therapy under the sun. So
right
now I'm doing a lot of not normal therapy.
Alternative,
I'm doing a lot of alternative therapies, and I know other people are too, and I'd love to know.
Yeah.
Is this a day? Like I marked on mine the other day that I had done my a different therapy. I'd had a treatment that day because I had like a 10%. And so I marked on there that I'd had I put on my triggers that this was one of my alternative therapy days and what kind it was, just so I could remember.
Yeah.
So maybe we could encourage a way, even one of the environmental triggers or one of the questions being, did you have therapy? What kind?
Okay.
Because I'd love to keep track of that.
Okay.
Trap, you're on mute, buddy. You're just gonna have to jump in.
Yeah, just a bunch of girls, and we're balanced.
I keep doing the mute thing. I'm sorry. No, physical therapy worked for me. My sister-in-law would take me to work out several times a week at the gym. Where was that? That was up there on Marietta, and we would go through minor exercises until I built up more stamina and built up more strength, and really helped me out a lot. And I think the physical does help.
So yeah, I'm reading this book. Okay, I know you guys kind of all know me. It's called Spark, and the doctor is a psychiatrist from Harvard. He's probably in his 70s, but he's all about treating his patients through exercise therapy. So I'm reading all about the endocrine mapping that he's discussing, and he's talking about the neuroregenesis of your brain, which it is possible, but only in the right endocrine status, right? And so I'm sitting here going, oh my God. So if they're shooting at the hip, right, with normal brains that have not been injured, I'm thinking, what in God's name could he potentially suggest for somebody with a TBI or multiple TBIs or a stroke? Because he does have different citations. So I'm like, my brain is just an overdrive about how could we apply what he showed in his multiple mega research papers is that exercise actually does the same and better than drug therapy. And it balances all the neuroendocrine firing off that has to happen to get the rewiring of the brain. So where the question comes in, and he talks about the heart rate, and he talks about the swelling, and he talks about the memory. It is just truly amazing. So I
And
decided,
you have to be so careful. This is something we have talked about for years over in support groups. And the word exercise for a lot of survivors is such a turnoff. Because fatigue is already such a huge deal.
Yeah.
To now be told you've got to exercise and you can't walk, you can't ride a bike.
Right.
You know, you're already doing therapy. Nobody really ever reminds you that therapy is exercise.
Right.
You know, so that doesn't, you know, you feel like that doesn't count.
Right.
So it's very important that how we phrase that, and to say, well, you need 30 minutes of exercise a day will shut half your survivors completely out.
And you're right. And you're absolutely right. And so, you know, because when, again, they kept telling Natalie, right? So I'll use her as my case because that's my reason for all this. They would say, go exercise. I could not understand exactly what you said, Kelly. Why did she pass out? Why did she stay in bed for the next 3 to 4 days? Why did her mood change? I truly didn't know. But what I was kind of trying to refer to was that what he was showing and all these firings was making me think, how do we apply that to TBI people?
Right.
And so I was like, I'm going to make an appointment with this doctor. Like, I'm a patient. And I'm going to be like, well, why are you here? Well, I'm here so that you can help me with TBI people.
Right. And how do we word it? How do we say, you know, how do we make people understand that our therapy counts?
Yeah.
You know, and that I always tell survivors over and over that survivors like myself and Trip and Susie, your husband, and Lynn, your daughter, we live in a 3-to-1 ratio. So what takes a normal person the amount of energy to expect to walk 300 yards, that same amount of energy it takes us to walk 100 yards.
Yep.
You know, an 8-hour day for you is a 24-hour day for us.
Right.
So it's a 3-to-1 ratio. So when you're saying go walk for a half an hour, in 10 minutes, that's a half an hour.
Right.
So, and I don't think a lot of exercise, a lot of not yet disabled people or temporarily able-bodied people really get it. And so I think that wording especially, and if we're tracking that with therapies, you know, the importance of really having Sally say, way to go, did you realize that by doing therapy today, you exercise and you're firing all these synapses and you're doing such a great job.
That's a really, really great point. And you're right. I mean, everything that you said you are absolutely right. So I think, and what they would also say to us is, well, you can't be asymptomatic. We have to stop before you start having symptoms. Honestly, sometimes it was literally 1 minute. I mean, 1 minute of therapy, and it took so long for her to be able to get to 15 minutes, and I mean months. And so I hear you, and there's still a lot that she can't do, which, you know, she did before. So to your point, you are absolutely dead on. And so we do have to reword it. And this is where, you know, I review the quality of life surveys, and I'm like, these just don't match to what these people are going through. I mean, they really don't. So I got, you know, I'm very outspoken in these conferences, and that's the whole, it's like, what do I have to lose? I mean, I have nothing to lose. So I look at it like this, like, you know, I know the people are using the dashboard, and it's helping them at least identify. And now we need to get it to the next level, right? We need to not only identify symptoms and triggers, then we have to identify positives. That's why we're asking what you did good, but now we have to start bringing in the therapies. So, and Kelly, to your point, we had to do a lot of alternative therapy too.
Mhm.
So we did the brain core, which is the QEEG work. The vision therapy was huge.
Oh, yeah, I love vision therapy.
Yeah, the upper cervical chiropractor, lifesaver for her heart and her eyes as well. I mean, but it's like every little bit. So the endocrine, the high pH water, that came about because, you know, she kept having these, what we thought were heart attacks, and they were severe, severe panic attacks. And in all of the tests that she went through with the cardiologist and the EKGs and all that sort of stuff, they would say, well, we just think it's hormonal, so we'll give her these pills. And I'm like, okay, it's her head. Here we go again. Yeah, Trip?
Oh, real quick question. What is, you said vision therapy? What was vision therapy?
Vision therapy is, it's amazing. You teach, so you have so much sensory input coming into your eyes, and that is what triggers all the way through to the brain and like what you're supposed to do. So it could potentially address the peripheral vision, and you don't even know if you have a vision problem until you go to the vision therapy doctor. You can go to an ophthalmologist and you can have good acuity, but that's not vision therapy. It's about your periphery, and it's about how you process information when it comes into your brain. You see it, you process it, and where it goes. Simple example, you might see feathered letters, right? And so some people think, oh, I'm super tired, or they describe it as double vision. Or they might be reading and all of a sudden they're here on the page, and next thing you know, they're down here on the page and the letters are jumping. Another one is if you gaze out into the horizon while you're moving, the horizon jumps. So these are just all different things, but on the up here, when you go to the media one, we have the, let's see, that's PCS. Oh, I didn't record the vision therapy, but I can send you.
I can send you some, I can give you some information on Friday morning.
I mean, is it something where you, how does the trial work?
I have my practice exercises on my tablet. I'll bring them Friday morning and show them to you.
You put your head inside some sort of
it's a whole bunch of stuff.
It's a whole bunch of stuff. Like on mine, it's just a very simple video where I follow a dot.
Oh, okay.
And he's got it timed for me. And then there was another one where I followed a piece of cloth that had stripes on it, and lots of mirror therapy. So it's really interesting. I hate to run, but I have to. But Lynn, this is great. Just keep it up. And whatever you need me to send out, you let me know.
Okay, and I'll send you some vision assessment surveys. I'll put that in the email, everybody, because that will help you understand a little bit more. It might be on our YouTube channel too, so I'll look to see if that has something there as well.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn.
Oh, you're welcome. All right.
Friday.
Okay. All right. I'll see everybody.
All right. Bye.
I don't have to leave. I just have to leave.
Okay.
We're probably gonna go. We're probably gonna go ahead and go.
Yeah, I have a call at 4, but Susie, hi. This is Caitlin and Gabby.
Lynn, I've got to get back to my conference. I need to speak with you.
Oh, sorry, Caitlin and Gabby, you said?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, do that, Jordan. You want to set up a call?
Yes, ma'am. If we could do that, that would.
Yeah, because I want to reach out to the veterans too, as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you did a great job, and it was nice to meet all of you. Sorry, my screen was off. I'm in my niece's room, so it's not appealing.
Okay.
Everyone have a good day.
Bye, Jordan.
We were actually, Gabby and I were late because I thought it was at 3:30. And so we were on the website, and I went ahead and registered, and then we were watching your video on YouTube on it. And so then I was like, it's something, I think I looked at the thing so we could go ahead and get it set up. And I was like, wait a minute, it was at 3:30. It said, well, wait, no, it was 3. And so I was like, early enough.
It's okay. Yeah. I mean, you can, if you look at these other videos, you'll see about the PCS, the vagus nerve, Jeff. Susie, might be something as well. Trip, I don't know, do you know much about the vagus nerve as well?
No, what's that?
So your vagus nerve, so that's on the video here. That one I did get to post. It's your only cranial nerve, right, inside your head that is in your head and goes down your neck through your brainstem and hits every part of your body.
Wow.
It's called the wandering nerve. And so that's one of the reasons why when you're injured in one particular place, if your cranial nerve is impaired, in my daughter Alex's case, her cranial nerve ends up presenting in her GI issue, right? And it was completely missed. They did more endoscopes and they did more GI assessments until they finally, went backwards and were like, oh, wait, you were in a car accident. Oh, wait, you have multiple concussions. Oh, wait, she had lost 25 pounds at this point. Like, wow. Yeah. And so anyway, and it also handles your heart rate. It also handles your blood pressure. It also does stuff with your swallowing, your gas, I forget, there's a medical word for it, but anyway, you're swallowing. And so anyway, it hits your lung function. I mean, you name it, it hits everything. So it just would be interesting to kind of look at that stuff, because the more you understand as you get better or you go along, the more symptoms seem to pop up, which is the other weird thing too. Your chronic fatigue.
Yeah. I'm always sleepy.
Yeah. So that's the overwhelming of your brain, right? Your brain is like, listen, I got to take a nap. It's going to shut you down in a second. That was the biofeedback, the QEEG work. Natalie would take 4.5-hour naps every day. Wow. Every day. And it wasn't until how Kelly was talking about the alternative stuff, we did that, and she stopped napping in 5 treatments.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what it does, I learned it when I ran the TBI portal for the US government, and it reorders the brain mapping. It accelerates it. It's crazy cool science. I can send you, it's kind of hard to read. Like I have to reread it many times, but it has to do, your brain is just all electrical circuits.
Right.
Right. And your synapses, when you have a brain injury, your synapses are broken. And so what it does is it reorders them, it remaps them, and it accelerates that remapping. So she, like I said, in 5 visits, she stopped napping because I didn't think she was ever going to be able to hold a full-time job. Wow. And, now it was 4.5 years. And don't get me wrong, it was a long time. And that's the other thing, is that I think as a society, we don't know how long to expect recovery. And that's a really big question mark. You don't know how long it's going to take for you to get to a baseline that is sustainable, right? Because you can get to some place, but then you relapse back, and then you get back up closer, and then you relapse. So it's the sustaining of getting your recovery as far along as you possibly can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely interested in learning more and learning safety, and obviously to applying to my life and Chris and what's going on. But I definitely anything you need me to do to help, or you want me to go to doctor's offices and try and get this spread out to them. I mean, I'm all in to help. So.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. I think if you went in and you set up your account, Susie, and you track Chris from your opinion, like don't answer for him, because the caregiver side is what we have to really build out so that the words make sense to a caregiver, right? So we want to have Susie the dog pop up with info bubbles, like when you have a question and things like that. So that was what I was talking about, to have Megan walk through it with you and say, okay, well, I didn't understand that. I thought you meant this. That would, because I think I'm answering it or writing it correctly, but until I get other people to look at it, I don't know that.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I definitely think that it's done very well. I think, but for me answering for Chris, you know, because I signed in or registered or whatever, and I registered as myself, and it asked if I was a caregiver or who I was. So
Yep.
I said caregiver. And then it asked, what are your symptoms or what, you know, whatever, all of the questions it asked, but it was asking it as if it was for me to
Yeah.
answer myself. And so I was answering it on my perspective of what is going on with him, but
Yes.
it's, I'm not asking him and having him answer it. It's my perspective of it.
Yep. Yep. And that's exactly how it has to be. We just have to change the words. So
Yeah.
when you click caregiver, what I want to see happen is that we go into a different page, right?
Right.
And then that page means you have words that are specific for observation only.
Right. Yeah, I think that would be good. And I think even if under the caregiver, even if you had the option to click to go to patient, like to make it to, I could give all my information, and then if he were to be willing to participate, you know, then I could ask him the questions that would apply to him that he could answer specifically. You know, are you constipated today, or whatever question I might, you know, there might be.
Yeah.
Know the answer to.
Well, he'll end up volunteering a lot of stuff. Like, I would just be quiet on things and I would observe. And one of the things I learned, and Trip, maybe you can kind of either say yay or nay for you, but one of the things I learned, if I asked too many questions, if I went through the checklist, the clinical checklist, oh, I didn't get anywhere, right? I had to let Natalie talk. I had to let Natalie, you know, kind of just give me clues. And if she was wanting to talk, because a lot of times she didn't, right? Because you have such severe depression as well. So having her start to talk, then I would make notes, right? I would let her do that. So that's one of the things to kind of also keep in mind as well too.
Yeah, I think so. And denial.
I know. Well, awesome. I do have a 4 o'clock call that I have to jump on. But I'm going to shoot everybody a thank you email, and I'll put those vision assessments in. And I will look on the YouTube channel to see if we have that vision one, but I don't think I think I forgot to hit record that day. But the next 3 is all about vision therapy. And so the doctors will be able to do Q&A as well. So, and we're going to show demonstrations of how the therapy is done, because some of them, what they want to dispel is people who do home therapy that is not, it should be a supplement to what they do in office, because what the things that I watched Natalie go through were so different than what I'm seeing Alex do because of COVID. So different. But again, what is the right one? I don't know. Nobody knows. This is the whole thing, you know. So, but it is amazing. And 80 to 90% of brain injuries have eye impairments, and people don't know. 80 to 90%. That's the crazy. Yeah. Now you have glasses. Yep. And you didn't have glasses before?
I don't think so. Jill, did I have glasses before I had all the brain stuff? I don't know where Jill is. Jill's usually in the office. I think it was after my brain surgery that I started having eye problems.
Wow.
I noticed
Yeah.
a bit more vision problems.
Right.
Because I had, my brain issue was called a germinoma. That was the name of it. And it was located on the, like the back of the pituitary. So
wow.
So it technically wasn't like it was a strange situation. So they had to, the way they had to go in, I think they went in this way. There's a scar, there's another scar here. So they had to go in that way and kind of remove it.
Wow. Deep in your brain.
Somewhere deep in the brain in the pituitary, but they had to go that way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they went through the nose or not. Sometimes they go through the nose. So.
Wow, that's deep. That was a difficult surgery. I can imagine. I can't imagine.
I don't remember much of the. I don't remember the surgery, obviously, but I don't remember much of the recovery either. And,
right.
And then one day I just kind of woke up.
Wow. So did they keep you in a coma? while you were in recovery?
I don't know. I don't know. It was like I don't know if it was a coma that they kept me in, or if it was like a self-induced coma that I was in just myself for some sort of shock feature. I don't know. I really
Right.
don't know. If they,
Right. So what are your challenges, Trip, that you have?
Right now, I just not a lot of energy, but it's coming back. I just need to, I need to get out there and walk more, get a little bit more exercise each day. And I think before all this, I was a radio DJ. I want to get back into doing that. I could do DJ parties and stuff like that. I'd like to do that again.
How do the loud noises affect you from like a DJ?
I don't know. I haven't really been around loud noises. I haven't turned on the stereo. I haven't really.
Oh,
I haven't turned on. I mean, TV's fine. I haven't really cranked anything up in a while. So
interesting.
going up
Interesting.
relatively soon. I just haven't had a chance to. So
Yeah. Wow.
I've got my hard drives I've been going through. Oh, excuse me. On my MacBook Pro, and I found